Hi, everybody. This is Paul Ura from the National Weather Service office here in Austin, San Antonio. We'll be started with this eclipse weather briefing in about 2 to 3 minutes. So stand by. Everybody, we'll get started in about 1 minute. Okay, good morning, everybody. I am Paul Ura. I'm the Warning Coordination Meteorologist here at the Austin San Antonio National Weather Service office. A couple of just logistics for this. We are recording this webinar. I am going to be sending a link out to that, as well as the slides of this briefing when we're done, to not only the folks that are not only listening and watching this morning, but all those that basically got invited. So roughly all the city and county emergency managers in South Central Texas that I sent the actual invite to. There is an area down below where you can ask a question. There's not a ton of people on right now, so technically at the very end, I might be able to just unmute everybody. And then if you have a question, you can just say it if you want. But until I decide on that, go ahead and just, if there is a question, you can just put in to your questions feature down there on the GoToWebinar. So with that, let's get started. This is the first briefing of what we're going to be doing for the October 14th annular eclipse. That's going to be coming from northwest to southeast across a portion of the state and cut across an area which I'll kind of show you on a map. This is kind of I would describe it as kind of a pre-event for the more significant total solar eclipse that's going to happen next year in April. So I'd like to hear your kind of advice on the slides that we're kind of show and how we do these briefings into next week, just so we can prepare even better for better weather briefings when it comes to next year's total solar eclipse. So let's get started. So this is what's going to be happening on Saturday morning on October 14th. There is going to be an annular eclipse that comes from, again, the northwest, the southeast across a portion of the state. You can see those times there listed. So especially like around the San Antonio area, technically the peak of the ring effect that's going to happen is be around 11:55 a.m. on Saturday. Now, the entire eclipse of the moon going across the sun is actually going to take about 3 hours. So we're going to start to see portions of the eclipse as early as about 10:30 around the San Antonio area, and then totally be done with the eclipse at around 1:30 p.m. But the peak of it, or the peak of the ring of fire, is actually going to be occurring right around noonish, or around noontime on the Saturday the 14th. Of course, the big thing is the messaging for protecting folks' eyes. Here's our glasses right here that we've got that we're going to give out to our staff. There's a lot of places that I've been going to the meetings talking about, a lot of libraries and just other sort of jurisdictions have got some glasses for folks, but definitely it's going to be a kind of a very important thing to start messaging with all the different partners about making sure the citizens are safe for the eclipse. So what are the main points weather-wise when it comes to this? Obviously, we're pretty early yet. Our official forecasts only go out 7 days, but there are indications that we can start talking about. And one is preparation for the eclipse 2 Saturdays from now is going to be basically warming trend next week. We are looking at a cold front possibly coming into the state and possibly even going all the way through the state of Texas, probably Thursday or Friday timeframe. I'm going to show you a map on that. The odds are tilted toward dry conditions for the actual day of the eclipse, and also the odds are tilted for actually having some pretty mostly clear to clear skies, especially if that cold front does push all the way through the state of Texas. I wanted to show you, this comes from WPC, our Weather Prediction Center in DC, and they typically draw out these frontal maps out to about 7 or 8 days. And so this is the last day that they have on their website right now, and I want to do a screen capture of it showing you that in fact they do show a cold front by Friday morning on the 13th, pushing south of South Central Texas already, with all this high pressure likely building in. So that generally gives us good weather, that generally gives us clearing weather. A little bit of a fly in the ointment could be that some of the models are showing a Pacific tropical system off the coast of Mexico. Historically, sometimes we get high clouds from that or even some rain from that, but there's some of the models don't show it at all. Only one as of right now that I was looking at briefly kind of showed it. So as of right now, we're going to be going with the clearing skies behind this front, hopefully by late next week. This is a kind of a tease of what we're going to be showing next week in particularly. There are ways of showing percents of cloud cover forecast with the weather models. And so as an example, this is way out there still and not very confident that this is, especially with cloud cover that many days out, but this is kind of like a most likely cloud percent across the region for that Saturday. And you can see the blue color in here represents percent cloud covers that are like generally less than 20% kind of a thing. So basically the clear skies. We can also, and we will be showing this next week, kind of reasonable worst case scenarios of what is that very small chance and how cloudy could it be. And you can see that even right now, even a worst case scenario is kind of in that, you can see the colors representing there into like the 30 to 50 to 60% range. So still basically partly cloudy and definitely not overcast. So again, trend is looking good, and the timing looks to be very, very good of having that front come through and actually make things look reasonable and good for the eclipse. As far as a 6 to 10 day precipitation and temperature outlook, you can kind of see that basically probably behind this front, they're expecting pretty much below average sort of precipitation across our region. Some lingering kind of stuff down in South Texas possibly. Again, this is a 6 to 10 day outlook though. And then temperature wise, again, middle part of the week is actually be very, very warm, but then obviously cooler temperatures would be behind the actual cold front itself. Just as far as hazard risks, you can kind of see we're highlighting the heat middle part of next week with even some possible thunderstorms with that cold front as it moves through. And then with the breezy and kind of drier conditions back behind the front, we're highlighting a little bit of a limited fire weather hazard as well. But as you can see on Saturday, as of right now, we do not have any threats or any sort of hazards listed. One thing that we do want to advertise highly, especially as we get into next week, and as we get in within that 7-day range of a forecast, is this wonderful, what we call the IDSS forecast points page. You can see the QR code here. You can take an image of that. Again, these are going to be on the slides as well. And what that does, that basically is a website that accesses our hourly forecast for any point that you click on the map. And then what we did here is we set up some QR codes for just these towns that are in the path of the eclipse, and particularly over our west and southwest areas of South Central Texas. But again, that website itself, you can click anywhere on the map in the United States and get the hourly forecast that the National Weather Service actually does. So highly recommend it, not only during eclipse times, but just in the regular days of the week or months when you're looking for a weather forecast from the National Weather Service. This is one of those pages that I highly recommend you go to get that hourly breakup of our forecast. So again, in summary, again, cold front is possible Thursday into Friday next week. The odds are tilted that will clear the area. Precipitation should, at this point, it looks like, be south of the area and pushed out into the Gulf, with possibly even some much clearer skies behind it. So the highlight here too is that as we get into the briefings next week, we're going to get much more specific, not only with hourly cloud cover, hourly timing for the front possibly, and then obviously the rain chances with that. So just look for a lot more detailed forecast as we get into next week. And so speaking of next week, the next briefing is actually going to be at 10 a.m. on Tuesday. Monday is actually a federal holiday, but especially as we get into Tuesday, they will then be daily, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 10 a.m. And then the day of the eclipse on that Saturday, the 14th, the briefing will be at 8 a.m. So all this information is very, very time sensitive. You can see our contact information on the far right there. One question came in: are the graphics, especially protecting your eyes, available in format that we can post on our social media sites? Yes, Billy, we can do that. I'll get with some of our folks here at the office, and we may set up something to where the partners can actually access those, or I'll attach them all to a much larger email. But definitely, you can steal anything off our slides too. That's all good graphics that the Weather Service have given us. Even NASA and so forth have got some good images and graphics to use for eye safety, that kind of a thing. But I'll try to make that more easily available for you guys. So with that, I've come to the end of my briefing part. Are there any other questions that anybody wants to type in? I'll give it about another 30 seconds or so before we sign off. Is the image of the cloud cover that you showed available? As of right now, I'm trying to think. I think it may be hard for the public to get to, and maybe hard for you to get to. As we get into next week, I think anything, I'll talk to some of the staff here. I'll find out what the availability is for that, for like emergency managers. Like I said, I think what we're going to be doing, and what I would like to highlight, is more of that forecast points webpage, where we're going to have the hourly percents of cloud cover, and that's going to be our official forecast. But we'll talk about that next week as we get closer to kind of see if that's available or not. I wanted to say that it was kind of behind the scenes a little bit into some of the information that we get. So if we are registered for these meeting notices for future meetings coming out, do we need to add them manually or on the schedule? Once you registered, you are technically now registered for all of them. So just use the same exact link for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The link is not going to change. And I do not see any other questions. So with that, enjoy the weekend, enjoy the cooler weather this weekend, and then we'll get right back to it next Tuesday at 10 a.m. with a more detailed forecast for the upcoming eclipse. Thank you, everybody.